Do you ever just watch something that completely entrances you while at the same time completely screwing with your mind? The moment the credits roll, you ask yourself what the heck you just watched, and while you may ponder it for a while, you ultimately just brush it aside as one of those things. Heck, maybe you give it a rewatch just trying to grasp the whole thing again, but you still don't quite understand what it is. We've all watched something like that. Maybe it was Inception, maybe it was Sonny Boy, hell, maybe it was Skibidi Toilets. They draw us in, captivate us, leave us confused, questioning reality itself. For me, it was this pretty old anime from the 80s, Angel's Egg. If this is your first time hearing about Angel's Egg, I wouldn't be surprised. I myself only found out about it a few years ago and gave it a watch. Fun fact, you can actually find it here on YouTube with a simple search. Maybe pause this video cause I highly recommend you give it a watch first. Heck, I'll put the link down in the description to help you find it. And after you do watch it, I'd love to hear what your interpretations of it are in the comments below. This video will be my attempt of trying to make sense of this enigmatic work of art, so this video is super objective. Cool? Onwards then. Angel's Egg was released in 1985, directed by Mamoru Oshii, the same man behind Ghost in a Shell, and animated by Studio Dean. This film is truly one of a kind. From the first scene alone, you are immediately drawn in with no explanations of what is going on. There is no opening narration, no wall of text, just this. If the art feels weirdly nostalgic to you, congratulations, you're a Final Fantasy fan. It was done by Yoshitaka Amano, the man behind the many illustrations of the early Final Fantasy games. And I gotta say, this was the best art direction the film could have taken. As a kid, I would stare at the Final Fantasy character artworks and be mesmerized by them, but at the same time, they would somehow weirdly make me uncomfortable. There was always something so ethereal about them, but I never realized why. Watching his art come to life in Angel's Egg made it especially unnerving for me. Like, I'm not one to be easily spooked by movies and games, you won't catch me punching my screen because of a Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare, but with Angel's Egg, there's just this feeling of dread in me whenever I watch it. It never goes away. The atmosphere crafted in the film is some of the best I have ever experienced. There's just this oppressive loneliness to it, coupled with the fact that we don't know anything about the world this is set in, it makes the fear of the unknown even more terrifying. Most scenes are accompanied with nothing but strong silence, which in turn makes the other sounds really stand out. From the sound of the wind blowing to the sound of rushing water, these are all sounds that normally invoke feelings of calmness, but in this film they only serve to make you kind of anxious, as if something would jump at you at any moment. And in those moments of very little sound, the scenes just stay longer than they usually should. Not only does it give you time to really soak in and appreciate the art and atmosphere, but it also leaves you with an unnerving feeling. It really goes out of its way to show how lonely the world is. So, what is Angel's Egg even about? The film throws a bunch of stuff at us, introducing concepts, plot points and story beats, but doesn't really do anything with them. With every minute you're left with nothing but questions with no way of ever finding answers. But I believe Angel's Egg is about, or rather one of the things I think it's about, is ideas and identity. Who are you? These are the first questions we ever hear in the film, and will go on to be recurring questions throughout the film, and will also be the final questions we hear in the film. Our two characters, the little girl who cares for the egg while roaming through this strange town collecting bottles, and this young man who carries around a cross-like object, exchange several words throughout the film. Upon meeting the girl for the first time, he asks her what is inside the egg, to which she responds she doesn't know. The man then asks to break it to find out, but the girl refuses. She is curious about what is inside the egg, but she wants to find out through nurturing it into hatching. I believe the egg symbolizes ideas, or rather, the idea of an identity, which is why she keeps it so close to her. Perhaps the girl is a stand-in for the concept of humanity. She is devoted to the egg, wanting nothing more than to see it hatch, which could mean we as humans want nothing more than our ideas and identity to grow, to take shape into something we ourselves are proud of. Throughout the film, the young man seems rather antagonistic towards the egg, but not the little girl who cares for the egg. He seems pretty considerate towards her, even though he's been egging her on to break the egg. I swear, it is taking me the power of God to not fill this video with egg puns right now. Despite the fact that he's all about breaking the egg, he never once tries to take it forcibly, even when he did have the egg with him when they first met. I think the young man represents the old generation of humanity. He's not hostile towards the girl and does help her in some way, but he really wants the girl to do away with the egg. You could see this as the old generation rejecting the ideas and identity of the new generation. He, and by extent them, cannot seem to understand the deep fascination with wanting to handle the egg in their own way. Which, now that I think about it, is a lot more telling in this day and age than it was back then. The girl goes so far as to beg the man to have him promise not to do anything with the egg, but he doesn't say anything. The two of them go on to have a conversation. He sees a mural about a giant tree and feels like he's seen it somewhere before. He mentions a giant bird sleeping in an egg, and the girl asks what kind of dream does the bird have, to which he doesn't answer but replies with the same question from before, wanting to see what's inside the egg. They reach an impasse, never answering each other. The man doesn't remember much. He doesn't remember who he is, where he's from, and where he's going. He then goes on to talk about Noah's Ark and the 40-day rain that flooded the earth. He mentions the dove that was sent out to look for land, but I guess this is the bad timeline where the bird never returns. The people waited and waited for the bird, but it never came back. Eventually they forgot about it altogether, continued to sail the flooded earth before succumbing to fate and turning into stone. It's implied that he was one of the people on the ark. The man gets a bit existential here. He wonders if they truly exist. Perhaps they exist in the memory of someone long gone. Perhaps they are part of this bird's dream. Hell, maybe the bird never existed at all. It leaves you wondering, who are they? The girl does reassure him that the bird truly does exist, and shows us the fossilized remains of the bird. Yeah, no, that's no bird. This is more like a grotesque angel or a harpy. And let me just say, this reveal with the music that accompanies it is just terrifying. I believe the bird represents an idea, an identity that did come to life, with the old generation holding on to this living idea before ultimately forgetting about it altogether and taking on something far removed from what it initially was. But strangely enough, it's the girl who believes in the bird and believes that it's been reborn as this egg, the identity she's gone on to grow herself. The man doesn't quite believe the egg is actually alive though. The girl claims to hear its soft breathing, the sound of its wings moving in the air, but the man just refutes her, disproving the things she thinks she feels. That's not soft breathing, that's just her breathing, and that's not the sound of its wings, that's just the wind outside. She doesn't seem to humor him though and continues to caress the egg. The man is doing nothing short but trying to gaslight her about her ideas and identity, but she stays strong to what she believes in. It's sweet, until she lets her guard down and falls asleep. Taking advantage of this, the man breaks the egg. He destroys whatever idea, whatever identity resided in the egg. It was pretty heartbreaking watching him do so too. Even more so when the girl does find the remains of the egg. We never do get to see what's inside, but she is shattered. Her hopes, her dreams, they're destroyed, and the one who did it is nowhere to be seen. And what makes this scene even more uncomfortable is the way she screams. That scream pierced my very soul. Distraught, she runs off trying to find him, only to fall into a body of water where she suddenly ages up before spawning several other eggs. Yeah, I don't quite get this sequence too, but while it may look grim, I think there's something hopeful to be found in there. The numerous eggs that spring forth are just many more ideas and identities being born. Call it a testament to the indomitable human will. There is a lot going on in this film that makes understanding it pretty hard. I did leave out a few things like the weird stone men that come alive to chase down giant shadows of fish, or the giant eye looking spaceship thingy that opens up and closes the movie, as honestly they had me stumped. Angel's Egg is open to many interpretations. Maybe it's about existentialism and the constant questioning of who you are. Maybe it's all about religion and the loss of faith with its many religious symbolism. Maybe it's about love and the coming of age of a woman. Hell, if you really want to go full Gen Z, you can say it's about capitalism and the awful state of the housing markets. There are many, and I mean many ways you could interpret this story. There are no right or wrong answers as to how you view this movie. Everyone will experience it differently, and I'd really love to see your interpretations in the comments below. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. This has been your very favorite slice of bread. Stay toasty.